Alluvial Agriculture has been providing funding, technical and training support to hundreds of farmers across Nigeria. The latest innovation from Alluvial is the selection of women in local areas who are trained to become impactful in their operational areas across the country as part of the wider program of support for smallholder farmers. Naona Usoroh is the Environmental, Social and Governance Lead at Alluvial Agriculture, and she joins us now on the Arise Exchange for more on how the organization is impacting women in farming. Good evening to you. Great to have you join us. Thanks for joining us. Tell us more about how Alluvial champions, is a gender champion. Why was this group of women created for your organization?
Hello, good evening. Thanks for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. So the Alluvial Gender Champions are women and men focused on impact. They work with Alluvial to scale up the capacities of smallholder farmers, empowering them to move up the resilience ladder. They acknowledge the critical role of the woman smallholder farmer and are champions for fair, inclusive, and equal opportunities for both women and men. So Alluvial trains them as master trainers, and they are tasked with the responsibility of stepping down the skills that they have been taught, and they receive women lead farmers in their communities, resident communities, and train them. And these lead farmers are leaders of both formal and informal collectives. The Gender Champions activity is part of Alluvial's gender responsive strategy under the gender component of an overarching project that Alluvial is executing in partnership with the Mastercard Foundation. Alluvial is providing critical resources and support to 65,000 farmers across different states in Nigeria to produce paddy, maize, soybeans, sesame, and cowpea. So initially, at the start of the project, we brainstormed what kinds of activities that we would execute, and we wanted to do something that was impactful. And we conducted an appraisal, a survey, where we interviewed over 600 female smallholder farmers. And the result of that survey led to the design of the Gender Champions activities. The Gender Champions, like I said, they are master trainers, and they deliver training to women farmers, who in turn deliver this training to thousands of women in their collectives. Last year, the year one of the project, we were able to reach over 500 lead farmers and who had in their groups over 6,000 smallholder farmers. So our numbers are large, and they're delivering key money skills, records keeping and savings. And from the testimonials we've been getting, we know that we're on the right track. This year, we increased the number of models that we taught to the Gender Champions.
Great stuff, great stuff. How were the Gender Champions selected? What type of, training, what are the skill-ups is Alluvial providing to them?
So the Gender Champions are basically women residing in the communities where Alluvial has operations. They went through a series of interviews based on certain criteria, and they were onboarded as Gender Champions. In year one, we had 25 Gender Champions, all women. But this second year, we've increased our number to 50. We have some men also as Gender Champions. The kinds of training, well, in the first year, like I said, we focused on key money skills, records keeping and savings. And in the second year, from the feedback from the first year, we decided to include digital literacy. You would agree with me that there is an increasing digital divide, and it is widening. And because we live in an increasingly knowledgeable society, the digital divide is skewed negatively against women. And so if we're not intentional about closing this gap, it's going to be a problem for society. And so we decided to add digital literacy to the models. Not only that, we added farms record keeping, like I had mentioned, gender responsiveness and bias. We added extension services. We added using collaborative tools. Some of the Gender Champions, prior to being a Gender Champion, had never even had an email address. So it was emotional for me to see some of the women just having email addresses and navigating through their digital mobile devices. It was really impactful.
All right. And how impactful, would these women champions be in and around their farming communities?
Okay, I'm going to share two stories with you. They're both very interesting stories. So I'm going to share Madam Ladi's story. She's our gender champion from Niger State. And she told us about one of the lead farmers who had received the step-down training on key money skills, record keeping, right? And when she went for a field visit to follow up on how the farmer was implementing the skills that she had gotten, the farmer admitted, Alhaja Almira admitted to her that she knew the skill, she had learned it, but she wasn't implementing it because maybe laziness. Anyways, the Madam Ladi sat down with the farmer and they went through all they had taught, and they also went through her farm records. And that's when they realized, by the time they calculated what the smallholder farmer had spent buying fertilizers, inputs, paying laborers, and then what she harvested on her farm, she got about 2 bags of paddy. And when she sold it, she got 26,000 naira, and she had spent 100,000 nurturing that farm. And so she didn't even realize she had made a loss. And a few weeks later, we called to follow up, and she said she's even implementing it in her household, not just for her farm business. The objective is to get these women to scale, to move from resilience to female agripreneurs. And you can't grow what you don't measure. And so that's why, like I said, we took the first step of teaching them how to keep records. And so that's one of the impact stories, not just for the gender champions themselves who are being transformed by these trainings, but for also the farmers. I'm going to also share Eunice's story. Like I said, Eunice is one of our gender champions. And for the first time, she had an email address. For the first time, she joined us on a Zoom call. Now, for the first time, she filled the form online. During the recent workshop, everything was digital, from the sign-in forms at the workshop to the feedback forms. It was all digital. And these women, scaled through. So these are the direct impacts that we are seeing.
And in what parts of Nigeria are these gender champions being constituted? Briefly, if you can.
The women are spread across where Alluvial has major farming operations. So we have states in the north central, in the northeast, and in the northwest. Taraba, Jigawa, Kano, Kaduna, Nasarawa Plateau, Benue, Niger State, and Bauchi, Adamawa, Taraba. I think I've mentioned those before. So it's spread across where Alluvial has major farming operations, like I said.
Great stuff. Naona Usoroh, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate you giving us your insights on how you're improving farming across the country. Thank you so much.